hot in here. It's not even summer yet, Winnie, and I'm already sweating. Hi kids, welcome back to another pizza party. I'm Mrs. Pizza, and this is going to be a reading vlog. And we are going to continue on our path of just reading whatever the I feel like reading. Mood reading is working. I am flying through books when I'm just allowing myself to pick up what I feel like picking up in that moment. I, apparently, cannot be given rules or regulations. I must be able to run wild and free. Wild and free, that is me. What the hell are we going to read? Well, I actually did just have a book come in through the library. Libby has sent me the audiobook for Don't Let the Forest In by C.G. Drews. I've not read anything by this author, but this was touted as like a YA, dark academia adjacent, fantasy, horror, nonsensical. I don't know. But everybody who read it was really having a good time. It says, high school senior Andrew Perot finds refuge in the twisted fairy tales he writes for the only person who can ground him to reality, Thomas Rye. But something strange is going on with Thomas, and desperate to figure out what's wrong with his friend, Andrew follows Thomas into the off-limits forest one night and catches him fighting a nightmarish monster. It's only about 8 hours on audiobook, so I have a feeling I can fly through it pretty quickly, but it sounds like a good time, you know? Why not? I'm feeling spookiness recently. I got declined for an ARC. That stinks. I also should be receiving a box today with some books inside because sometimes when the world is on fire, you buy yourself books to feel something, retail therapy. But it's books, so it's like not bad. I don't know. It's my money. If I want to spend it on books, I'm allowed to do it, you know? But we're going to start off with that book from Libby. Hopefully our physical books get here. And when they do, I'll pick one. That's how I decide what I'm going to read. It's the newest book that's shown up on my shelves. Screw all the other books I've been thinking about reading. It's the newest one, the new shiny one. I have to read that one. We'll see how this goes. Well, I told you I was going to be blazing. Cheese? Whatever you're eating, stop. Come here. Oh, you're covered in dirt. That was quick. We are spending some time outside. Hi. No, thank you. No, thanks. Love you, but no, thank you. Why don't you go run around outside? Because that's why we're here. Nope. No, thanks. No, thank you. No, I don't want it. I don't want it. I love you, but I don't want it. Go run around. It's about to rain, and that's why we're outside, because I would like for you to be outside. Is that a squirrel? Did you see it? Did you see the squirrels? Go check out the squirrels. We are here because I am absolutely flying. I lost my phone. Get it together. Not you, me. Also, that bee, I hear you. There's a bee that is like really interested in me right now. We are 56% of the way into Don't Let the Forest In. Let's talk about this a little bit. I'm actually really enjoying this. We are focused mainly on our main character, Andrew, as he arrives at a boarding school. He is Australian and sounds like his father has some big important job. And so Andrew and his sister Dove spend the majority of their year at this boarding school. Something has happened at this boarding school the previous year. We don't really know what happened other than it was something that was very upsetting and had to do with Andrew. He thinks everyone around him sees him as this very fragile thing. Andrew and his twin sister are being dropped off at this boarding school to complete their senior year. Andrew has spent this summer not being able to talk to Thomas. Thomas is the third in this little triangle that is Andrew, his sister, and Thomas. They have kind of been a threesome, like a little group, a very tight-knit friendship. This year, not so much. Dove has drifted away from Andrew and Thomas, and Andrew is clinging to Thomas. Honestly, Andrew is in love with Thomas. It's very, very obvious. Andrew even knows this, even though he doesn't really want to admit this to himself. Andrew is also asexual, and so he is grappling with that identity, what that means. There are other students in the school who are part of the queer community and are trying to reach their hands out to Andrew, tell him they are a safe place to come to. They see this in him, even though he is still wrestling with it within himself. Andrew only really has Thomas. Thomas from my point of view, is also in love with Andrew, but we don't know that for sure. We don't get Thomas's point of view, but through his actions, I'm pretty sure Thomas is in love with Andrew. Andrew is in love with Thomas. Andrew is really a creative writer. He writes these really like macabre, dark fairy tale stories. They're usually very short. And the story that we are reading is interspersed with little snippets of Andrew's stories. Thomas is an artist and he draws illustrations to Andrew's stories. He also is an artist in his own right, but he spends a lot of time making the creepy, folklore fairy tale visuals that Andrew writes about into actual art. So these two are like interconnected in that way. There's some really beautiful lines within this. These two people are kind of tortured souls and they found each other. And there are literally monsters coming out of the woods. They are in this boarding school type setting. They are trying to keep this secret from the adults, secret from the other kids, but keep everyone safe. Things are unraveling. Andrew needs Thomas, Thomas needs Andrew, and they are so interconnected, but these monsters are coming to get them. I don't know where this is going. It's very like vines growing out of things, trees bleeding, but these boys have a relationship with the woods that has changed since last year because the woods has been cut off from the school. A great big fence is put up. We don't know why, but there is some incident alluded to that we do not know the details of yet. They had such a romantic, idealized relationship with the woods before. It's literally said that like Thomas would kiss the trees, and then now the woods have been cut off from them, and there are literally monsters climbing over this fence to the school. So this is a very visual, vines creeping. That is a horror that I absolutely love. I love a good like tree that's gonna kill somebody. Fungus and mushrooms and rotting leaves and dirt, and just that is my favorite type of horror, and that is what we are getting. My heart breaks for Andrew. He's really going through it. My heart breaks for Thomas because there is an incident that happens that has Thomas just panicking, just scrambling, trying to survive. But these two are, I'm pretty sure, absolutely in love with each other. And so there's like a frenetic, like a frantic energy of them wanting to keep the other one safe. They are so just, I hate to say the word obsessed, but they are kind of like obsessed with keeping the other one safe. Just, they are everything to each other. And so that makes me incredibly nervous because I am so worried. They have so many factors, not only these like supernatural monster things, but also like outside factors. There are bullies. There is this like investigation going on. I am so worried for Thomas and Andrew. But we are still waiting on our package to arrive. When that gets here, we'll pull a physical book into this mix because I am flying through this. There is legitimately a bird screaming in this tree over here. This has definitely become like my space to come and sit outside while the dogs run around and film a little clip. And usually we get lots of birds and magical noises, but right now all I hear is construction. So I hope that's not all you're hearing. I'll put some bird sounds in right now. Isn't that magical? Isn't that beautiful? It's like I don't live inside of a city. I live in the rural country, not surrounded by sirens and drag racing. Love that. We are here because I decided to pick up First Time Caller, which I accidentally, or maybe on purpose, maybe life did it on purpose, but my nails actually match the cover of this. This is B.K. Borison's newest book. This author wrote the Lovelight Farm series, which starts with Lovelight Farms, which is a friends to lovers tale on a Christmas tree farm. I love the Lovelight Farm series. I love it. I love Lovelight Farms. I found that as the series went on, it got stronger for me. This author really got into their stride. The first book is good. It's fine. By the second book, I was completely invested in this small town. That was absolutely adorable. They are contemporary small town romances that just feel like sunshine. They feel like a hug. They're lovely. I believe it was a TikTok, but God knows with the amount of social media that we're all consuming where I saw the clip. But I saw a clip of a bunch of people at a book event, and the person was asking everyone what was their most recent 5-star read, and multiple people said this book. I already know I love this author, and so I was like, all right, I guess I need to hurry the hell up and read First Time Caller. This is touted as a hopeless romantic meets a demoralized radio show host in this cozy, Sleepless in Seattle inspired love story. I think I've seen Sleepless in Seattle, which is honestly a travesty because I know it is a classic in the romance genre of movies. I know that is the premise of that is kind of like the bare bones premise of this. Now that I am this many pages in, this is the story of Aiden Valentine, and he is a radio show host, and his show is about love. People call in and ask him questions about love, about dating, about relationships, and he's, demoralized. Like they said in the little blurb, he's like, he doesn't know if he believes in love anymore. He's kind of lost the sparkle for even the show. He's just kind of going through the motions. It sounds like there's been some things going on in his personal life that have really upset him over the past couple years, and he's just kind of struggling to find that want, that need, that spark to continue on with this show. When one night he gets a phone call from a 12-year-old girl. I believe her name is Marie. Is her name Marie? Maya. Maggie? It's an M name. No, Maggie's the boss. Maya, I think, is the daughter's name. A 12-year-old girl calls in, and she is calling on behalf of her mother. Her mother ends up getting on the phone because she's like, who the hell are you talking to this late at night? You're 12 years old. Is that a man? Are you joining a cult? What is happening? And she has a really honest conversation with Aiden on the phone about how she's just looking for magic. She didn't realize how lonely she was until this conversation happened, but she's just been surviving. She's been living. She's been trying her best, but love has just been pushed on the back burner, and she expounds upon the fact that it's just so hard. Like finding love in the current day is hard, and she doesn't want something hard. She wants something that just feels meant to be. So obviously this goes viral. The world is like, absolutely, Lucy, this is what I've been saying, like slay girl. Or whatever things, when I say them, make me sound incredibly old. Because of this viral event, Aiden's radio show / podcast gets a big uptick in viewers / listeners. They're just trying to bank on this. And so Lucy ends up getting contacted by the boss of Aiden, kind of the head of the radio show. And she's like, hey, let's do something with this. Let's find you love. I think the thing that I'm enjoying about this is everyone seems really genuine. There's a lot of people around Lucy. She has created a family for herself, and they are all genuine, loving people. Even the people at the radio show, though it is a business and they are honest about that, it sounds like everyone really wants this to work out for Lucy. So now we have Lucy and Aiden, who are going to be on a radio show together trying to find Lucy the love. And obviously, Aiden is super hot, and Lucy is like the prettiest woman he's ever seen, because that's what we want from our romances. I needed to check in because I have a feeling I'm going to absolutely fly through this. I've already highlighted this one, like they have little excerpts, little transcripts from the radio show, and this one person called in after Lucy's viral moment. People really started calling in and talking about like connecting with Lucy and that kind of stuff. It choked me up reading this a little bit. It was such a sweet thing. And they said, I've been with my husband for 65 years. Every day isn't a fairy tale. We've worked hard for our relationship, to build it, to maintain it. I've become so many versions of myself, and so is he. But we found a way to fall in love with one another over and over again, every time. It's like, oh, Nana, you're breaking my heart. I love that. I didn't expect anything different. B.K. Borison's books, even though they have spicy times and like drama happens, there's just really sweet, loving moments in all of this author's books. And so I'm enjoying what I'm getting from First Time Caller. The dogs are not present, and I'm worried that they're digging out. Winnie? There's the little one. Where's the big one? I worry when I can't see you. She is like at least 10 years old, and on numerous occasions has tried to leave and dig out of this yard. Hi. I don't know why you'd ever want to leave me. You have it so good here. We love you so much. You get to take naps and bark at all the people delivering packages and try and lick us all in our mouths when we're not paying attention. This is Winnie's dream, you know? But I'll check back in with you when I've finished something. I heard it too. There might currently be a package that's about to be delivered to either my house or my neighbor's house. Let's be honest. There's always a package being delivered to someone's house. Bless you. But the dog's just like, well, Cheese went into high alert, so let's hope there's not just an insane barking fit. Let's hope I can get through this, because it's been a couple days and I finished 2 books and I have just not told you about them. Don't know what my problem is. I finished Don't Let the Forest In. Is that what it's called? 4 stars, if not more. This was so heartbreakingly beautiful. These 2 boys covered in thorns, wrapped in vines. Like, they are these 2 dark souls that are mirrors to each other. They are really a comfort for each other, with Andrew and Thomas both being... Sorry, I had a brain side quest there for a minute because I saw something on the windowsill. It was beautiful. It was the kind of horror I enjoy, which is very like nature centric. There's dirt and vines and flowers growing out of people's bodies. It gets a little gruesome sometimes, but it never got too crazy. This is a YA, so we had to keep it appropriate for the audience that is supposed to be consuming it. It was just beautiful. It was these 2 boys that are just covered in thorns, and they find safety in each other. It was not necessarily surprising, the twist. I figured it out almost immediately. After you have consumed a lot of this type of media, sometimes you are looking for these hints from the jump, right? It happened. I knew immediately what the twist was going to be. I was okay with that. It just kind of made the reading experience feel more like a scavenger hunt for clues to that twist I knew was going to happen. I enjoyed this. I think it was really well done. I think it was dark and somber and sad and beautiful. It's the story of Andrew, who writes these just like dark and twisty fairy tales, and Thomas, the boy who illustrates them. These 2 boys are just two halves of a whole, and I enjoyed this. Spooky good time. I also finished First Time Caller, and when I tell you I was sobbing in the 3rd act, but not always because it's sad. Sometimes you're crying because it's sad, and then you keep crying because it starts getting happy again. You're just having a deluge of emotion. Also, just asterisk, I am a crier. Crier right here. Ow. I like hit myself in the collarbone with a book. This was a 5-star for me. I really loved it. I just think that BK Borison is getting better and better with every single book of theirs I consume. They get you invested in everyone, in every character, no matter how small their role is in the story. Everyone has a personality. People are making decisions that are based on their personalities and their histories and their own hang-up. These are realistic type characters. I really liked the 3rd act conflict, the grovel, the resolution. I did the big cry on this one. And the next book in this story is going to be following 2 characters that one of them you're introduced to. You are not introduced to the second one. It is alluded to this other person that is going to be part of the couple, but you don't get to meet them on page in this book. I also truly appreciate, and I'm just going to throw this out into the universe, I truly appreciate that Lucy, or Lou, our like main female character in this book, was a mechanic, because I am so tired of all female main characters in romance books either being librarians or some sort of like book related thing, which I get. We love books. We love a book related thing. They are some sort of journalist / author. Again, book related. Totally get it. Or they teach like preschool or kindergarten. Like these are their jobs. That's all they do. Sometimes they work in like a bakery / coffee shop as well. Again, I think we're going for cozy setting. But those are basically the majority of jobs that if you are a female main character in a romance novel, these are the jobs you are allowed. And it's irritating. I think that's because a lot of other jobs, if they're not something you personally do, they require a decent amount of research and people can get really irritated when you mess up the details. That being said, Lou is a mechanic and we didn't have to like learn about how to mechanic. I didn't have to figure out how to fix a car to understand Lou's job. I love that she was a mechanic. It was definitely part of her personality, but she wasn't a stereotype of any way, shape, or form. This was a job she had. There were people that worked at the auto repair mechanic shop with her that had their own personalities. I enjoyed it. Thank you for making her something other than the formerly listed pre-approved female main character occupations. I don't mind that they all work in bakery / with children / with books, but sometimes it is fun to get a new job. I know that personally the job I have, whenever I see it in a book, it is done really, really wrong. So I understand there is a little fear behind like picking a job that you have absolutely no understanding of, but like I appreciate Lou being a mechanic. I appreciate Aiden being a radio show / podcast host because I thought that was fun too. Not really a podcaster, but like they put his radio show onto a podcast. So he wasn't your usual, podcasty guy. Because that wouldn't have been fun. This was fun. I loved it. I really like this author. I needed some sunshine and happiness. And apparently I needed to cry my eyeballs out real quick. So we finished some books. So how many books are we reading right now? Big goose egg. So we need to pick some books up. I have at least one credit on Libro FM right now. The library is doing the thing again where it sent me 500 of my audiobook holds at once. Because with Libby, it's feast or famine. You either get every single book you have on hold at once, or you have nothing. Just nothing and like 75 weeks to wait for anything. So I'm currently in the drought. We need to look through and see what we feel like reading. I have been feeling a little romancy. I know. I blame the weather. The sun is out. And so, I don't know. I don't know why those two things correlate in my brain, but they do. I don't know if you can currently see her, but that creature back there that's named after a dairy product, she needs to go on lots of WALKs or else she is a terror. She is a terrorist. We need an audiobook so I can take her on the extra long WALKs. I don't know. When I figure out what I feel like reading, maybe I might try a few things out and just see what catches my attention. But you'll be the first one I talk to about it. When I figure it out, I'll tell you. I'll give you a call. How about I'll immediately come tell you because I can't wait. I did the thing that I said I wasn't going to do. I started trying to pick. This is like the worst lighting that's ever lit. Jiminy Christmas. Or maybe that's just what I look like. It's giving Crypt Keeper is what's happening. So I did the thing that I said I wasn't going to do, which was try and fit myself into parameters. That is literally the reason the mood reading is working is because I just let the whims take me. And so I was trying to, maybe I should read this because I read that. No, we're going to pick up what we feel like picking up. Do you know what that is? Scary plant horror, because that works for me. So in this abysmal lighting that we currently have going on, I'm doing the thing I do where I pick up the most recent book that showed up at my house. We're going to pick up this one. I literally know nothing about. The buzzwords that got me that I heard to describe this was suburban gothic. Love that. Don't know what that is. Love it. Millennial core horror. Again, no idea. But I must know. I must know. Shall we together read the first paragraph of the synopsis? Because I don't want spoily stuff. You ready? After losing her job and her fiance and moving back from the city to live with her parents, Shell Pine needs some help. And according to the sign in the window, the florist shop in the mall does too. Shell gets the gig, and the flowers she works with there are just the things she needs to cheer up. Or maybe it's Neve? Question mark? Don't know how to pronounce that name. Neve. Nevi. Okay. The beautiful shop manager who is making her days so rosy. Sure. I just want to read something spooky right now, so that's what I'm going to do. Have I picked up an audiobook? No, I haven't. What am I doing? Let's read some books, guys. I am a jump scare right now. Number one, have been unwell. I sound like a Southern debutante when I say that. Like I have been unwell. I have not been doing that much reading, but I'm feeling better now. I did something to my neck that was, I literally cannot describe it other than I had Batman neck, where like I couldn't turn it completely. So it was a lot of like whole body motions which then turned into a radiating pain down my back because I was compensating with my back because I couldn't move my neck. These are old people problems and I'm currently suffering from them. But I did get 20% of the way into Eat the Ones You Love, which I'm going to hold up the actual naked hardcover because she's looking pretty good. This is the story of Michelle, who likes to be called Shell, and she has just gone through a really hard breakup. Her life kind of exploded. She lost her job, her relationship, kind of her identity, and she's moved back home to her small hometown where there is a dying shopping center. It has been the heart of this area that she's lived in for a very long time. It's where the grocery store is. It's where the hair salon is. It's where the flower shop is. Everything is at this mall. But for years now, everybody's been talking about how it's on the verge of being shut down. One day when Shell is there, she stumbles into a flower shop and just kind of gets wrapped up in her immediate attraction to the woman that runs this place. I looked up the pronunciation of the name because this is taking place in Ireland, so I know how to pronounce the name now. But how she even says it is like never without the so it's like Nev. According to how it traditionally would be pronounced, it would be Neve. How she pronounces it in the book is Nev. So I'm going to go with Nev. Even though technically it should be Neve. That is a side tangent that is unimportant to everything. Nev and Shell start talking. Shell basically asks for a job after seeing this like taped up little sign. It's obvious that the needs help sign has been there for forever. Shell kind of gets wrapped up in the fact that it says needs help. So Shell ends up taking a job at this flower shop and she kind of starts a new life at this shop. She comes in and she tries to absorb as much as she can. She looks at this as like a fresh start in life, and she also has an attraction to Nev. We then get a perspective shift as soon as Shell gets this job. One of the things I will say is that when there is a perspective shift in this book, the actual font type changes. There is a visual representation to a perspective shift, which is interesting, but the perspective we are getting the most often, and I hope this isn't a spoiler. Here, I will put a teeny tiny little thing on the bottom if you are like worried about spoilers or any way, shape, or form, because I don't think this is really a spoiler, but I did kind of have a moment where I was like, oh, when this happened, and so I want you to have that aha moment if you want it. If not, stick around. Let me spoil some for you. So one of the perspectives that you're actually getting in this, which I think is something I need to tell you because it is something that makes the book more interesting, aside from the fact that we have these two characters that are in a flower shop and this like decaying mall together, one trying to restart their life, one whose life is the flower shop, and their attraction to each other. There's nothing really horrific or dark about that. The dark element, the spooky element, the element that makes this odd and strange is that the perspective we're getting is from some sort of sentient plant life. There is this plant that lives within the mall that has a strong connection to our Nev character. This plant has this like omniscient presence. I'm not going to say sinister, even though it does feel a little sinister, but I don't feel like it has a good and evil. It's not a human, so it doesn't have the same like moral compass as a human would. It's more growing attachments to people for its own gains, it's a plant. So it's different than a person, but it is our perspective. It is our narrator. It is telling us what is going on with these humans, hinting at things that it might have more power over these people than they even realize. It is giving Little Shop of Horrors, but they don't know about Audrey 2. Well, not everyone knows about Audrey 2, but it's actually not Audrey 2. We don't know what this plant is from the 20% mark. We just know there is a plant, and it seems like it could turn out bad. So far, that is the part that is keeping me reading. Otherwise, it's just these people in plant shop and learning about their lives and their histories and their hang-ups, which is not uninteresting, but is just kind of fine. So that's where we are. I also decided, well, Libby decided for me because I could not be bothered to pick a library book. So the library sent me an audiobook that was on my wait list, and that was The 10, and this is by E.A. Hanks. I am not usually someone that seeks out memoirs. I'm not a memoir girly. I don't even really love biographies, but I have found like if I pick and choose accordingly, I do enjoy my time. I do have a list of memoirs that I have really enjoyed. I saw an interview with this author talking about when this book was coming out. They were doing the rounds, having to, shake hands and kiss the babies, and they were giving a quick interview for some TV show, and I found her quite charming. She has a history of being a journalist, so obviously she's going to be a good writer, but she also seemed like casually funny is how I'll put it. She seems to have a good sense of humor, but it's not overpowering. I just liked how she spoke. I was interested in her story. The main kind of draw to this is going to be that EA is Tom Hanks, as in the Tom Hanks's daughter. And even in the interviews, they said the first thing that most people are going to say is, Tom Hanks has a daughter. She is the daughter from his first marriage, so she is a full sister to Colin Hanks, who is also an actor, and has two half-brothers from Tom Hanks's current second marriage. Her mother had full custody of her and her brother for the most part. There was a custody agreement, and she had a really troubling relationship with her mother. It sounds like her mother was a really troubled soul in the time that she spent living with her mother until she was about 14 or 15. I think it's 15. Her mother is a very just like tumultuous creature. The main part of this book, I believe, is that the author is going on some sort of trip, kind of recreating a trip that her and her mother went on before her mother lost custody of her at 15, before she went and lived with her father, who is Tom Hanks. I don't think, and I think this was pretty apparent when she was giving the interview, this is not going to be some like expose on, oh my God, Tom Hanks is a bad person. I think he is a good dad. She has a good relationship with him. I think the feelings that you have when you see him are probably true. He seems like a decent human, and if anything, he's probably going to come across a little more human in this story. But this is more the story of her growing up with these very polar opposite lives. One where she had Tom Hanks, his wife, and her two younger brothers, and they would go there and have family dinners and have like a real kind of family unit. And then she would go home and it would just kind of be chaos and different, and how she had these two separate lives, learning about her mother, learning about her past, going on a road trip. This all sounded very interesting to me, and listening to her in an interview and knowing that she was going to be the one reading the audiobook version of this book, I decided to go with the audiobook. The library sent it to me, and now we're going to find out about EA, which I think sounds interesting. That she is like this child of a very famous person that we didn't even really know existed. I don't know. It sounded interesting. And right now I'm just trying to find things that keep my attention. But I don't have Batman neck anymore, so we're feeling okay. I will check back in with you because I think we're going to get a decent amount of reading done today, because it has been thunderstorming on and off for the past couple of days. And it is almost to the point where the sun is a liar. Like the sun will come out and you'll be like, oh, it must be over. I can hear thunder right now, even though the sun is out. And so the sky is going to open up again any minute. So we're going to get some reading done today. Right, Weenie? No, that's a dangerous spot. I'm doing my hair. Go get in that bed. Get in the bed. We are here to do some hair. We are actually here for a little bit of an update. I'm doing pretty good with reading these books. I've gotten over halfway through Eat the Ones You Love, I think is what it's called. The book is in my bag because it's been going to me with work. And whenever I have a few minutes, I've been picking it up and kind of taking a minute to read something weird about plants. In the beginning, I will say it's a tiny bit slow, but the book is not long. We have to get some sort of character backstory. We have to learn who these people are so that we can care about them and the setting and whatnot. I'm totally okay with that. I would say about the point where I was like, I don't understand why I should care about these people other than they're humans. We should care about other humans. But there is the introduction of the weird plant life, who I am going to call Audrey 2. That is not the name nor the physical description of the actual plant, but I cannot get away from it because this definitely is giving Little Shop of Horrors, but make it modern and also not a musical and also not really funny. So like Little Shop of Horrors, but completely different. We have been introduced to our sentient plant life. We are given like little glimpses at how much information our Nev character has about our sentient plant life. We learn a little more backstory of the relationship she has to Audrey 2, our sentient plant life. So we learn somewhat quickly that our plant is going to be what I am going to refer to as a true villain, because the plant does not have human morals and hangups and motivations, right? It's a plant. It can't. It is its own entity. It is something that Nev refers to as the baby. And it also sees itself as this, like, it is like a young life form. It is just coming into itself and it has this insatiable hunger. But it is a true villain in the way that I will describe it, in that true villains, true bad guys in our stories never really think they're the bad guy. They have their own motivations and morals, whatever those may be, but they really do think they are doing everything for the good of everyone around them. Even if it is a little bit selfish, even if it is a little bit sinister, even if they are having to do mental gymnastics to justify a lot of the things they do. But in this, there isn't really a need for mental gymnastics because it's not a human, it's a plant. So it has its motivations, survival and other sinister things. You can't really blame any form of life for doing whatever it needs to survive. Nev obviously has a relationship with this thing, but she also is trying to keep it secret, keep it safe. And we now have this character, Shell, who has come into Nev's world, and you're wondering how much Nev is really going to divulge to her, how much information we're going to get. We also start learning about some of the other characters within this shopping center and a little bit of backstory on them. This really has a lot of what I'm going to call commentary on the loss of the third place, which is something that I feel like if you are on the internet, it's probably found you. But it's this theory about how, especially Americans, are losing their third place. They have work, they have home, but they don't have any longer a third place that doesn't involve some sort of paywall. So whether that used to be like a shopping center, a cafe, a park, a library, some place that people used to congregate, there was a form of socialization. Even if you weren't there to socialize, it would kind of fill up that cup. Because a lot of people are losing that, there's a rise in consumerism, trying to fill the third place hole. This shopping center is the third place. It is like the last shopping center in this area, this kind of like gray suburban area. It is walkable from most places. It has the library, the grocery store, it has a travel agency and places to buy clothes. Like it literally has anything and everything you could possibly want. But over time, it hasn't been kept up. It slowly started to decay. The tiles in the floor are all kind of mismatched because as a tile in the floor and the linoleum would cracked or broken or ripped or whatever, they would just replace it with a different kind of tile. So it's like a patchwork floor. A lot of businesses have gone under, so there's empty spots or there's a lot of mishmash businesses. It's just kind of fallen into disrepair, and there is like a terrarium area that has been completely let go wild. No one goes in, the glass has become opaque, like no one can see in, has a green tinge to it, and it's just kind of existing in the middle of this decaying marketplace. This place where people used to congregate and go and see other people and leave their homes, and now this is slowly decaying, right? We then learn, it's been teased from the beginning, but you then learn like the mall is gonna close. And so at this point, we've had one episode of like almost like a botanical body horror situation. We've had some backstory that's been incredibly sinister, but we just have these people living their everyday lives in this decaying mall, just trying to keep it together until the wheels fall off. And then they learn the wheels are about to fall off. So now I'm feeling we're about to escalate real fast. I've also gotten, I think I'm like 70% of the way into the 10, which I'm really enjoying. It actually reminds me of a memoir I read maybe a year or two ago. It was called Raw Dog, and it was a road trip that this podcast / comedian was making across the United States, like right after lockdown lifted, eating hot dogs across America. The reason they're kind of feeling similar is because both were about the journey. This is a journey that EA is making while traveling down this one highway. She's made this trip years prior with her mother. When she was around 14, she made this trip. But they didn't do it the touristy route. They had a destination in mind. They kind of powered through. But EA feels a real disconnect from her mother, who is a very complicated character who suffered from a lot of mental illness and addiction. And her mother has been dead something like 20 years. She's a journalist. Why not travel the same path through parts of the US and reminisce, learn about ourselves, learn about our mother, learn about our family. At this point, there's a lot of, I'm enjoying this a lot. It's very easy to listen to, but it is kind of like anecdotes about traveling, being a woman alone traveling through these different cities, going to different places within these cities, interviewing people. This is just kind of like, she's just kind of floating along this path and seeing what takes her. There's been a few moments that have really caused her to reflect on her own life and how she got here, how she became who she is. I feel like she's very open and honest. She gives you a lot of really interesting information about a lot of the places that she's going, just about the people and the history and just the atmosphere, the vibes that each city is giving off. But she also is flashing back to her own life, her mother, her experiences. I think in general, she has lived a very non-traditional existence. She's had these two very interesting parents for very different reasons. They're very interesting. And just the nature of where she comes from, who she comes from, and what she's done throughout her life make her somewhat interesting. We have moments of clarity, moments of thinking about things that were normalized in her childhood that only in a retrospective way can she really notice how the fact that she never went to the dentist or her mother never really told her to brush her teeth is kind of a form of neglect, but that her mother was just unwell and that she didn't really realize that because that was just her mother. And then she can like reflect on how those experiences she had as a child have affected her and turned her into the person she is, kind of both in a positive and negative light, which we all can. Like our childhood forms us into the adults we are. And so you can look back at experiences you had as a child, whether they were traumatic or not, and really see how they changed you, molded you, turned you into who you are. And that's just interesting to watch someone walk through that journey. But I don't think I'm having any, like, I haven't cried. Well, I got pretty close to crying, but it involved a dog. And I'm a crier when it comes to dogs, so take that as you will. But the dog is fine. Just in case you're wondering, the dog is fine. But it's more just her on this journey and you following her on this journey, learning little things about these places she's going, learning little things about her as you go. It's easy to listen to. I'm enjoying it. I don't know if we're gonna have any huge reveals at any point, but there have been some like sadder moments. It's not one of those things where I feel bogged down and just like horrible. Some of the things are very light, some of them are funny. She's very open and honest about the choices that she's making even on this journey and how she feels about them, how she feels guilty, how she feels not guilty. Like just anything that's going on, she's very open and honest about, and I'm liking it so far. It's easy as far as memoirs go. So that's where we are. And I need to finish my hair. I will let you know when I finish one of these books. I don't know which one I will finish because I don't think I have a lot of time to sit down today and do any real reading, but perhaps I will. You know, perhaps I will. And I'll let you know. I definitely know there's irony in the fact that you just watched me do my hair. I know my hair looks like this, but in my defense, that was a while ago. That was like a day ago, 2 days ago. Who knows? What is time? How did we get here? I look about as good as I feel. Yeah, we're giving exactly what we feel like today. Look, you don't care what I look like, right? Because we're friends and friends don't care about these things. I'm here because I finished a book. I finished The 10. And I'm not going to give this an official rating because I think it's weird to rate nonfiction unless it's really bad. Or I shouldn't say bad, but like poorly done. This was easy to listen to. This was a memoir of traveling across a portion of the United States, giving beautiful descriptions of the locations and the people and the food, reminiscing on personal traumas that the author went through, the things that made her who she is, also little insights into the history of these places in America that she's stopping in. She even takes a trek across the border into Mexico at one point. The tumultuous history of the United States, how being on one road traveling in one direction, you can have so many experiences. America is huge and just absolutely massive. And I don't think anyone outside of the US understands how completely different it is. Like each state is its own country for the most part. How vastly changing the landscape and the wildlife and the people and the accents and the food and the culture just as you travel along in a direction. Even though sometimes we did dive a little bit into the past of this author and their mother, who was obviously suffering from some sort of mental illness. There is a little bit of speculation that she might have had bipolar disorder, but because she never personally was able to seek help. She refused help. She was scared of help and had a lot of mental issues that presented kind of in her late teens, early 20s, which is when those things would have started. She had a mother who was mentally ill and sometimes was magical and lovely and sometimes was horrible and slightly violent. And that kind of sounds like somebody growing up with a parent with unmedicated, unregulated bipolar mental disorder. But these are all speculations because she never went and got diagnosed. I enjoyed this. I thought it was easy to listen to. I like this author's voice. I don't feel like there was any big revelations personally for me, but that doesn't take away from the fact that this was an easy story to follow along, that this author has a great narrative voice. And if you like memoirs, if you like road trip memoirs, which I usually do, this was a good one. There you go. I now have one last book to finish, and I can do that. I can sit down today and do that for me and for you and end this vlog so that you can watch it. Because at this point, am I ever going to put a video out, or am I just going to keep doing this forever? What if I did that? What if I just had a year-long video where I just recorded everything and then was like, hey, here's all of the books that I released in a year? Can you imagine? Honestly, not the worst idea ever, though. Like, I feel like I would watch that. All right. Let's stay on topic. Let me finish the book I need to finish today. Suddenly Simone standing beside me. Ugh, you're juicy. Winnie, find your appropriate spot on the air conditioning vent. Love that. Thick girls love to sit on air conditioning vents when it's slightly warm outside. Honestly, it's not that warm outside. I have on layers. She's built for Arctic temperatures. She's got a thin layer of just extra meat on top of her. So living in the South is hard for a Winnie. That's not why we're here. I mean, it could be why we're here, because we all love Winnie. Let's be real. We're actually here because I finished a book. That's right. We've reached the end of the vlog. I finished Eat the Ones You Love. This ended up being a 3-star for me. There are parts of this that I really, truly enjoyed. And there are parts that were just like, you know. It started incredibly slow. And this is not a large tome. I think do we even hit 300 pages? If I could turn pages, seems like an important part of the reading process. 200 and 71 pages. So coming in under 300 pages. The beginning portion of this was slow. It was slow moving. We were just kind of meandering through the opening with Shell, with Nev, with these characters that all work in this mall, in this crumbling, dilapidated mall, with our sentient plant life situation happening in the background. But it took a really long time for this to go wacky. Once it went wacky, it went there. It went big. I described this in my review as this book is like slowly being wrapped in vines until all of a sudden the pressure pops you like a meat balloon. This went from slow, crawling, slithering, eerie to all of a sudden it's exploding. I feel like the pacing was a little off. I wanted it to get a little weirder faster, and then the escalation would have felt more natural, is how I'm going to say. Our ending was interesting, and that's how I'm going to put it. There are some people in the reviews for this that are like, I'm still thinking about this ending. I'm still thinking about this ending because I think I got it. I think I got parts of it. There was parts of it I enjoyed. There are other parts that I think went over my head, and that could be because I'm a big dumb dummy, and that's fine. We don't all have to be the smartest kid in the room. I don't feel like it was as impactful. There is like a final scene that happens, and I don't know what emotions I was supposed to have around the final scene. The once the credits start rolling after this scene. That being said, I really love a spooky vine, a scary plant, a sinister forest situation. So the fact that we had these vines, this plant life, flowers sprouting out of things just that they shouldn't be sprouting out of, that kind of imagery always does it for me. So I truly enjoyed that. I would definitely pick up something from this author in the future, but this wasn't necessarily like a full-blown hit for me. It was a 3. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't great. It did have me pulling up songs from Little Shop of Horrors on Spotify and singing those. I'm pretty sure my neighbors are like, why is this woman singing Somewhere That's Green at the top of her lungs? Winnie, thank you for your service in security and protection. I'm going to bet money. You ready? I'm going to bet money that there's nothing. Shall we wait? And there's nothing. That was great. Thank you, Winnie. I appreciate your service here. You're so good at protecting us from... Oh, okay. We'll just finish up with you front and center. Let's put Winnie. There we go. You're the star. Winnie's the star. But that, kids, is going to be the end of this vlog situation. You're beautiful, and we love you just the way you are. This went on forever, and I just let my mood take me, and I enjoyed letting my mood take me where it wanted to go. This is how I have to read right now. If I try and do anything else, it's not happening. We're letting the mood reading happen to us, and that's what works right now. But if you had fun hanging out with me and the dogs, please subscribe. I hope you're reading good books out there wherever you are, and I'd love to hear about them. And we'll see you next time. Right, Winnie girl?